Welcome back to Nick Lenz, Comic Corner Classics as Young Classics. This is episode number 1640 and Doubleshot number 1534. Excuse me. Once again, is these two trade feature characters who were created by the late Stan the Man Lee and Jack the King Kirby. First up, we have the third volume of Don DeCosta's run for Thor. This is Revelations. This contains issues 15, 18, and the first annual, and the only annual for this run. The annual I've discussed before, Infinite Destinies. There was a trade paperback I have reviewed that already, so I'm not going to discuss it here. Revelations. This is something that's probably been building for quite a while. See, you have Thor basically come back to Earth, where he comes in the middle about where the Avengers about a bunch of robots. He's able to handle them, and he wants to talk to Captain America in private. And after he does this too. And then eventually, they go right back to Avengers Mountain, which is their base of operations, which is still the base of operations this very day. It's been the base since 2018. Now, a lot of people, a lot of the time, when think of the Avengers base, usually be the Avengers Mansion, which had been the main base for the Avengers, mostly for a lot of the time since the 1960s up until around 2004. There was a brief period of time where their headquarters was an island. Yes. That was during, I believe, was the first time it was destroyed. Yeah, actually was like, the first time it was majorly destroyed. from 2005 to pretty much about, I'd say about 2015, I think it was. They are headquartered mostly out of a tower. The Avengers Tower, mind you, a building that was owned by Tony Stark. Then, of course, around that point in time, like afterwards, the main team operated from 2015 to 2016 out of an airport hangar. And then for the next year, it was headquartered at the Baxter Building. Yes, the Baxter Building. And then they moved over to the Avengers Mountain, which is simply put it's basically what the Avengers Mountain is that it's pretty much a dead Celestial. They're using his remains as their base. It's explained in the final host story arc that the Avengers they were given permission to do this by the Celestials. So basically, it's not like they're being disrespectful to the Celestials. It's just that they were given permission by the Celestials to do this. So, Thor asked Captain America, when was the last time you ever seen him? He mentioned something about King in Black, most recent at this point, the Phoenix event. Some big stuff. And Thor is like, I do not remember the last time I even spoke to you. And according to Thor, it's due to his immortality. That's mainly the reason why he does not remember the last time they saw each other. I mean, they've known each other a long time, but the last adventure before this particular time, they've never really seen each other. Now, of course, you have this little interaction with Thor and Iron Man, basically what's happened in the last book, where because of their little scuffle. And of course, they discuss it, and then of course, you have Thor going on. Well, supposedly he hears his mother after he had first conversation with Cap, and he tries to go find her, and he says he finds Odin. Yes, Odin. He's not very happy with the fact he's not speaking to his father. And then, not long after having a brief chat, then his mom and his sister show up. Angela! I'm like, wow. Yes, I think it had been, like, prior to this book, I think the last time officially Angela showed up in the comic book, it had been 2 years. Yes, her last appearance was, I think it was in Avengers, as Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh yeah, and they also bring up the fact that she's the firstborn, because she refers to Thor as her younger brother. Yeah, so I believe officially, actually no, scratch. I think our last appearance prior to this was actually not Asgard's Galaxy. It was actually Strike Force. Yeah, I think it was Strike Force was the last known book she appeared in. Was that book right there? Now, the final book for that one, issue 9, because 10 basically was supposed to be the final issue, next issue, but it got canceled. This came out in August of last year. And as for issue 16, which is the first of 2 issues in this trade here, this, believe it or not, came out just a few months ago. So it had been just a full year since their last appearance. Yep, a full year. Yeah, so it was nice seeing the return of not only Odin, of course we just saw him, but also Freya and Angela. Now here's the thing about Freya, and modern Marvel writers have probably taken a lot of flack for this. They are under the impression that Freya is Thor's mother. She isn't. Thor's mother is Gaia, aka Mother Nature. That is his mother. Freya is his stepmother. I do not know, and a lot of people tend to question why the heck Marvel has this so confusion with Thor's mom. Yes, they always have this confusion because Freya is Odin's wife. So they assume that Thor's mom must be Freya. No, his mother is Gaia, not Freya. And after having a chat, the 4 of them anyways, and then Angela takes Odin to a gladiator arena, and he's like, I should not have had a daughter. You had a daughter first, and you had, 2 sons. Actually, 3. Yeah, Odin's got 3 boys. Yeah, Thor himself, yeah, Bolt of the Braid, yeah, JMS revealed this in his run. And there's also, what is his name? No. He has several sons. You have Thor, Boulder, Tyre, Harmond. Yeah, Velder is a guy who didn't really appear very much. Yeah, he's a character not really talking about much. I mean, there is definitely Tyre, aka the God of War. He's talking about sometimes. At one point, this guy was dead. But yeah, Odin has got several children. Aside from Thor and Loki and Angela. He has a total number of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He has 6 children. 6. He has 3 and also 3 adopted children. Overall, he's got 9 kids. Damn. And if you think about it, Angela herself Angela and her sister, Alyssa, are the only 2 children that Odin and Freya ever had. So they do discuss some stuff that's happened recently, like the stuff with Galactus, the Black Winter. Yes, a lot of the stuff that's happened over the course of the past couple years, they bring up in here. And of course, she's upset with the fact that Thor's rule has been very cruel and dark. He should be a little more lighthearted. But that is how Donny Colas writes him. But this, I felt as though this was really good what they did in here. And I give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Damn good. I like the fact they addressed this stuff in here. And this is, Volume 3, I should also point out, this is the most recent thing that's been released for Thor. Excuse me, yes. Yeah, 18, which came out just a couple months ago. Yeah, this was by far the first time. Now, we also had a debut of a new version of the Pet Avengers, which showed up in this book. There was, however, a Pet Avengers operated prior to this, in a different reality. This is the first appearance of the Prime version of the Pet Avengers, which is comprised of Throg, Bats, Hidden, Morin, Lockhead, Lockjaw, and Throg. Yep. You could definitely say these issues are more like a cool-down period until like the very next story arc, which is known as God of Hammer. Yes, which I believe this story arc is probably going to resolve the whole storyline of why in the world that Thor's hammer Mjolnir has gotten heavier and why everyone else can lift it no problem. Alright, now, next up it is Marvel vs. Black Panther. This contains Marvel Avengers number 10, which is, the best way to describe this book is that it's a modern retelling of mostly put Fantastic Four 52 and 53, which is debut of what 52 was debut Black Panther, and 53 was his backstory, just a modern retelling of that. As for Black Panther 14 and 15, which were the last two issues published for Volume 1, these two were the only two issues for the first five, not done by Jack Kirby. Unknown why he left, but I love the style of writing of this period. It's just a quick two-parter, and this is something you might be fascinated though about these two issues. This is only one of like a couple times these two issues ever been put into trade. Yes. The only other time that technically this book has these issues have been put into trade, aside from this, well, was an Epic Collection. Yes, an Epic Collection that came out a couple years ago. That was the only other time that these, well, 14, 15 being collected before. Of course, next thing after these two issues came out came Marvel Premiere. And the second final for Black Panther. That's basically solo-wise for him. And the last thing published in here was, well, actually a couple of things. One was Iron Man 8 number 5. Yeah, this does the return of Eric Killmonger, which had basically Black Panther seeking help of Iron Man for his protection. Which, of course, then eventually later on Killmonger was defeated. And as for the last book in this trade here, Shao-Ray number 1, it's just the first issue of the short-lived Shao-Ray ongoing series. That got canceled. There were only 10 issues. Not really sure why, but that was. It's pretty good, this thing. If you're curious to who does this book, the Marvel Fantastic Four, that's done by Jeff Parker. Black Panther 1450 is by Ed Hannigan. The Iron Man 8 is by Peter B. Giles and Rob Manchlow. That's who does the writing for that. I've met Peter B. Giles. Great guy to be in person. The writer of Shari number 1, it's Nadia Okafor. I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name. With Loreno Romino on the artwork. Jerry Bingham on the Iron Man annual. And he also did the Black Panther book, which explains the same artist. Now, as for the armor Iron Man is wearing at this point in time, I believe that is the Mark IV armor. Yes, an armor he wore for a long period of time. Let me make sure of that. Oh, it's actually Mark V. Excuse me about that. Yeah, it was the, well, they refer to it as Model 5, but actually it was Mark IV. Yeah, it was the Mark IV armor, which I think it might be one of my friend Edgar's favorite armors for Iron Man. It's a very cool look. It's a very standard look for Iron Man. It's made a ton of appearances over the years, but it was his regular armor for a long period of time. But yeah, I mean, he uses armor on and off ever since like the 1970s. But in the case of this book here, I'm gonna give this book a 9 out of 10. It's just a damn good book, and I do recommend it. Okay, so yeah, that's a particular review. Next one's gonna be a finale for a writer's run on this character. I'll talk about the next one, and a big, huge book. You'll find out what it is in the very next video. Okay, next video. Bye.